Hi, we're here in the spotlight with Laurence Mowatt to find out more about him. So how did you get into riding and how has it changed your life?
So my parents met through riding. So horses have always been a big part of our lives growing up. When they moved from Scotland to South Africa before I was born, they weren't involved with horses, but as my sister became interested, and actually that's not so true because my mom did ride the Lipizzanas when she first came to South Africa, which my sister eventually followed in her footsteps with. But my sister first got into riding and she wanted to ride a pony, so my parents then sourced a place for her to go. And then I saw sort of the ins and outs of it and I really enjoyed it. Also saw how many girls rode and that was maybe a bit of an appeal. And then yeah, we eventually bought this place as we started getting a bit more competitive. My dad got a few horses from overseas, which really sort of sparked the passion. And then, as I say, yeah, we got this place and the rest is history.
And what is your daily routine as a rider? So what time do you start?
So I'm lucky that we have this place. I don't have to drive hours and hours to go see my horses. So I would like to start at 7:30, but that doesn't always work and it's sometimes closer to 8. But obviously if I go to a lesson and that's early, then that's fine, or going to shows. But generally, I would like to start at 7:30 and do more relaxed work in the morning, like hacking or lunging, or a bit of light schooling, and then depend what the horses are doing, maybe take them out in the afternoon and give them a jump or a bit of a harder flat work session.
So you work them twice a day?
Sometimes I feel it's really good to get the most out of them, especially if it's a spooky horse like my horse Caleho Lorenzo. He's got a lot of blood, and I find that just getting him out the stable in the morning really helps him to sort of level his head, and I can get a lot out of him in the afternoon, especially if it's jumping.
Okay, so I believe you've had a lot of coaches.
Yes.
Who have your coaches been over the years and how have they influenced you?
So I'm lucky I've ridden with a lot of the top guys in South Africa, and yeah, I've had a lot. Not because any of them, like I fell out with any of them, because that's really not the case. You know, yes, you change the, yeah, yeah, literally. You change the person, and as you grow and develop, I think you look for different things and different opportunities come your way. So I started down the road with a lady called Megan Haynes, and she was very good at just the basics. And then from there, as my dad got interested, he started riding with Tossie Rayner. And then I went to her and we did a lot of pole work. I remember I had this pony called Little Star the Second, or Blackie as we called her. And Tossie, she couldn't jump very high, she wasn't very talented, but we did pole work. And you know, Tossie's really strict on the striding and stuff. So I always remember having a lesson with Tossie and her going 1, 2, 3 and a half. So always a big joke in our family, the and the half, yeah. You know. So but then from there we went to Chad Cunningham as we got more competitive ponies, and then later Cindy Gainsborough, and then the Taylors, which were brilliant for a competition point of view. They're really good at
Barry and Lorette.
Barry and Lorette. They're really good at getting you competitive in the ring. And then after that, I went to Anne-Marie Esslinger, and then to Dominic Alexander. That was for the jumping. And then I've actually had a few dressage coaches along the way with Jill Taylor. She's probably my most influential dressage coach. And she really did lay a solid foundation for the flat work. I owe a lot to Jill, especially when she helped me with the Philip Smith. She lunge lessons every evening, got me really sitting well and riding. So lunge
lessons without stirrups?
All of that, you can imagine. She was a real, so she rode, I think, with the Spanish riding school for a bit. So she was really strict with that sort of stuff, which was nice.
So how do you rate flat work? And how much of the flat work has a strong base in dressage, or is it flat work oriented purely for jumping?
So it's interesting, I don't know if you've been watching the Big Food Ride at all, and sort of like a stream throughout those guys are rideability. They really want their horse to know what the rider wants, if that makes sense. You know, the person who has more control, obviously in the correct way, over their horse can go faster and turn tighter and jump higher. So I think it's unbelievably important, you know, and as you see it, obviously it's harder as the horses get more bloody and more feisty. You have to go faster.
What you mean by that is not like arterial veins or
yes,
stuff.
No, exactly.
Maybe if someone doesn't understand what bloody is, maybe you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's not this bloody horse, that's for sure. But a horse with blood, so they're more akin to a thoroughbred than an old-fashioned warm blood, as we would say. Yeah. But yes, I think flat work is very important, and more so as the sport's evolving, getting faster and lighter.
And who's your top rider, your favorite top rider?
So yeah, going on that the speed and the feel and rideability, I think Bertram Allen's amazing on a horse. He's got such feel. Everything just looks like it comes so naturally to him. Obviously it doesn't, he spends hours in the saddle perfecting what he does, and he rides with Marcus Enning, who I also really admire. They've got such feel. They look like they're doing nothing, but they're doing absolutely everything. They've got such connection to the horse's mouth, And then locally it would be Simon Henry, all the same reasons. He's a really good rider. Yeah. Really love the way he rides.
Who have been the people that have helped you most to get to this point in your life?
Definitely my parents. My dad, he's got a really nice attitude when it comes to the competitive side. If something doesn't really go according to plan, he's really good at stepping in and saying, there's always next time. Yeah, you maybe did this or this happened, but don't worry, it always can get better. It's important, and he's always a bit lighthearted with it as well, which is good. And then my mom runs a stable yard like I've never seen a stable yard run before. She's out here almost all day, every day, organizing the horses' feed, their blankets, their routines. We work together a lot with that, and she really is a driving force from every aspect of this family, and I owe a lot to her. And then my grooms are always also really, really special to me. I've had them for years and years. Petros we've had more than 10 years, and everyone who's seen me in the warm-up has seen Petros alongside me, giving me a helping hand.
So when you go into the ring, what do you have in your mind? Is there any kind of motivational quote that you have, or any specific thoughts, or how do you gear yourself for competition? So
I love the quote, fake it till you make it. Yeah, but I think there is an element of that. You have to go into the ring thinking you're good and thinking your horse is able. Then you can obviously improve in that. Don't kid yourself that you're going to win a class you haven't prepared for. Really go in all guns blazing that you want to win, and do your homework so you can win. Also, another quote sort of similar to that is, failing to plan is planning to fail. You want to go into the ring with a plan. You're saying, I'm going to jump a competitive round, or I'm going to do this turn, I'm going to drop a stride here. I think it's very wrong when people go into the round saying, I want to win, because you have to break that down. I think it was a guy called Yanni Putter who taught me that. When you're setting a goal, don't set the goal as I want to win the class. Set the goal as I want to jump a very fast clear. Then you sort of go about it a different way. Instead of I want to win, I was upset I didn't win. Because you can't be. If you jump to a competitive clear and someone was just a little bit faster than you, that's what it's like on the day.
We all learn from failures and things that have gone wrong.
Yeah.
What is the biggest lesson that you've learnt, and did it come from success or failure? Or maybe not, failure's the wrong word. Mm-hmm. Epic fail.
Yeah, geez. No, obviously with horses it's up and down. I can't, not one point sticks out at all really, but I think you learn to grow with success, and then you start expecting more of yourself, which I think is really important. If you're just sort of going along and you never really get a break, then you don't really believe in yourself. It doesn't push you that little bit harder. But if you get glimpses of success and brilliance and results, then you feel like I can get there, then you push harder, From a failure point of view, I like that one. I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah. I've been into a lot of championships, and you do that killer turn that no one else is doing, and then you land on your head, and that's very leveling. And horses are leveling, as I'm sure you would know.
Okay, so has there been any spectacularly funny moments that have happened?
Yeah.
Because face it, we've all fallen off.
Yeah.
Multitudes of ways, but has there anything sort of stood out for you that's been like people have fallen over laughing?
Well, I've fallen over laughing quite recently at the last show at the Stokkies Dry Cup. Oh, it's actually so embarrassing.
See, that's what I'm after.
Oh, no, it makes me go bright red thinking about it. So I was the last to go in the jump off. My friend Matthew Morrison, Raina Korber, and myself were in a jump off. I think that's all. I think it was only 3 of us in the jump off. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think it was only 3 of us. Matthew went first. You can catch me out with the details, but this is how I remember it. I think Matthew went first and he had 1 down. Then Raina went and had a good clear. But I think I just need to be a bit faster with the clear. So I remember I jumped my round and as I'm going to the last fence, well, I was killer, and I thought I had time in hand, so I added a stride to the last, really made him like to really make sure I'd clear it. And I cleared it, and I landed to the finish. I whip round to look at the board, the timing board, and I see it says first place. Okay. My hat comes off, I fist bump my chin to the crowd. The guy over the loudspeaker says, and into second place we have Laurence Mowatt. Oh my word. That was the most embarrassing moment I've ever had on the horse. 100%.
I thought you were going to say you missed the finish line.
Yeah, imagine.
I forgot
that would have been better. That would have been better, because I wouldn't have flipped and thrown my hat into the crowd, and man. That was unbelievable.
What aspects of the South African equine industry would you change, and why?
So I think we have a lot to offer as a nation. So I feel more international exposure is needed and would be really good. You know, we have a lot to learn from the international equestrian environment.
Like what?
For example, the way their show season works. You know, they have a show season, and they imagine if you're an athlete, right, and you're training for a season. You would train up pre-season. You would do all your exercise, and you would be fit for the season. Then you would go into the season and you would compete, and depending on how it's going would dictate how, sort of where you go, and then you would drop off again. And that would be the summertime in Europe. So you would prepare sort of in the winter, beginning of summer, and then you would go into your season. But in South Africa, I feel we have almost a big show every month. So you go down after a show and up for the show a month, down for the show and up for a show a month. So I don't know how that would change. We're lucky we can compete all year round. You know, in Europe, they don't have that luxury. But I think there's something we can learn from that. Also, the management of the horses there, they are really good at obviously producing horses. They know they've been doing it for years to great success. You know, they know the ins and outs. We're sort of maybe 5-10 years behind sort of on the drag curve there. So their youngsters are really jumping in a correct way, in a correct shape, with the correct rideability, and then it helps them. I mean,
do you think they produce them at an earlier age?
So early and in a different way. So maybe they demand more of them in the beginning, but so they get a lot of out of the horses when the horse is physically sort of strong enough. You know, obviously there's counter arguments saying, no, we produce our horses later, but so we probably would ride our horse just as much as they would a youngster, but they maybe ask more of it, and they know how to ask the right questions at the right time because they've had way more experience than we've had.
But do you not feel that could affect the longevity of a horse's career? If you produce very early, then maybe it won't have as much time.
No, definitely. Because I mean, if you look at the horses jumping in South Africa, like Iron Ruler, and then my horse Paddy, and then Hillview Paddy, and there's a few that you could probably think of that jumping into their. I mean, Iron Ruler was 20 something, and Paddy's 18, 19. So yeah, there is a lot to say about that. Yes, that is obviously a counter argument that needs to be looked at and examined, you know. But at the end of the day, they have so many horses coming up the ranks that they want the best out of the horse. Obviously, a horse hits its prime at about, let's say, between 10 and 13. You know, in South Africa, that's sort of when our horses are moving up to the bigger grades. So, yeah, it's an interesting discussion, and obviously there's not a right or wrong answer. But something that Rogan Askin said to me pops into my head, and he says old horses win classes, and it's so right. I mean, you look at all the big championships recently, like Clyde Z. He's an old timer, but he's brilliant, and he wins a lot of classes. So,
what stock do you put in physiotherapy, chiropractors, and acupuncture? What treatments do your horses get?
So they get a lot of physio sessions and acupuncture sessions. I wouldn't say we're.
They do get acupuncture.
Yeah, they do. Well, like needling. Yeah. I wouldn't say we have a strict program.
They got hot spas as well.
No, they got a solarium.
Facials.
Yeah, facials generally, but I do that myself. No, so they do get physio treatments and stuff like that, but probably not as regularly as they should now in the off season with this corona. It's obviously been a bit difficult to do, but yeah, they get all that. There's a solarium if I feel their back needs heated up, and the beamer. I really like the beamer and the equilibrium blanket.
Do you have the full blanket that goes up the neck?
And for the equilibrium blanket, yeah, and then we've got quite an old beamer that we use.
I can see some of your charges down there.
Yeah.
What horses do you have at the moment?
So I'm very lucky at the moment, as one of my horses on quarantine in Mauritius to go to Europe. So that's very exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. And then I have a lovely horse called Cleone Lorenzo, who's just jumped into he did a big 140 class at the beginning of this year, and obviously the lockdown sort of stifled our plans. But he's really bloody, I love him. I've had him since
I love it when you say that.
Yeah, bloody.
Really? Again,
bloody
can you
horse.
explain that again?
So he's got lots of energy and fire in his soul. You know, he's good off the leg and stuff like that. You know, he's fiery. And I've had him lots of engine. Yeah, there you go. And I've had him since the Cleone auction. We bought him there in 2015, I think it was.
What age?
He was 5 then, and now he's 10, 11. Yeah, so he was 5, 6 now. He's 10, 11. And I produced him all the way up. And hopefully, my plan was to do a 150 this year before I go on him, because that would be such a nice thing to do, you know, produce a horse all the way up to the 150s. But sadly, obviously, it might not happen because of the corona. And then we have a few horses that we bred. A couple of years ago, my mom said, you know, we have these nice mares that my dad got from overseas, as I mentioned earlier, and they've sort of reached the end of their competition life. So we bred a few horses, which have been quite nice. We've sold a few of them, but right now I have a really nice Cronus Voltaire Nimador, and she's lovely. She's a 5-year-old. She's a little hot, fiery chestnut mare.
So do you like your horses hot and fiery?
I do. I love them hot and fiery. I feel, because they fight for you in the ring, and I love that. I love a horse that really can dig deep and really try for you. And I think that comes with, when they have a bit of blood, they're able to do that. And I love, her name just now is Khaleesi, but I want to change it to Georgie Girl, because she's like such a tomboy, you know, and she's lovely to ride on the flat, and I really enjoyed producing her.
So over the years, what horse or pony has taught you the most?
I'm lucky because I've had quite a few, but I think, I'll definitely go maybe 3. I can think of 3 horses, or 2 horses, 1 pony. The pony would definitely be Jacklag Bannet Mandarin.
Wow.
I know, that's a mouthful. A typical showing name, isn't it?
What did you call it?
We called him Beano. Because, actually, there's a funny story, because when he was born, he looked like an albino. Yeah. But then he ended up being like a cream color, like a palomino, but lighter, like really cream color. And he was lovely. He did showing and dressage and jumping. But he was one of those characters where you walk into the ring, you never quite know if you're going to fall off at jump number 1 or you're going to win the class. So he taught me a lot from that perspective, you know, take every day as it comes. And then Aquablade would definitely have taught me a lot, because he and I jumped into the big classes. He had already jumped the 150s with Oscar and Lorette, and then I got on him and he was my schoolmaster, and we jumped around the Derby. The only time I've ever jumped the Derby was with him. We were both 18, so that was quite nice. And
do you think it's important to have, when you're going to go into the 150 classes, do you think it's important to have a schoolmaster to teach you the ropes on that? Or are there people that can go in and just do it as they go up?
So obviously it depends on sort of your opportunities. You know, if you are able to go out and buy an old 150 horse like we did. I mean, Aqua was 16 when we bought him. So, I mean, he was but he was interesting, you know, because he didn't have a great vetting, and he was past it. And when we bought him from Barry, he said, either this horse will last you 6 weeks or 6 months. And he ended up lasting me, and he's still alive now. He's in the paddock, and he's 20. He's 25.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've had him all that time, and touch wood, he was generally sound. Well, when we competed him, he was 100% sound. He amazed us. Came out every show firing on all cylinders, you know. So if you're lucky enough to get it and you find the right horse, then yes. But then obviously, if you get a talented horse and you're able to grow with it, up the grades with their right instruction, then I mean, there's lots of ways to do it, I guess.
It must be incredible. How did it feel jumping around Derby? You're like, I can't believe I'm doing that.
I know, it was lovely. I wish I could have done it again. Just sadly, this never really worked out. But yeah, it was unbelievable to do it on a horse that's already done it. Because I mean, we often don't give horses enough credit of like how much they know. You know, it's a big track and with big fences, and it was actually my first 150 show. Believe it or not, I know. I know. Every time I think about it, I cringe. But it's probably ignorance is bliss, you know.
And how did you feel when you came out?
I was at 2 down, and the places went down to 8th. So when I finished about 9th. but obviously they weren't placed down to 9th.
Well, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. Just the best experience was when you're on top of the bank and you look out and then you see all these people in front of you, and like you're like, oh my God, I'm jumping the derby, and then that it all hits you sort of then. And then the course gets rough, and then you have the plank and the dike and the water and the wall. Did
you hear the crowd at all? Because I know they get all worked up and there's Did you hear it, or was it just like bang focus?
Like I'd love to say, no, I'm one of those people who walk into the arena and all I hear is my horse, and but no, I hear everything. Okay. The crowd, the music, everything, and I think. I hear it not in a distracting way, but more of like an ambience. You know, you can really feel over every jump, people hold their breath, and everyone's rooting for you. You know, which is lovely.
So you've ridden a lot of horses. If you were going to go shopping and buy a horse now, what would you look for?
So it'd have to be grey and pretty. No, yeah, but as Cleone kind of says, you know, if you buy a plain horse, he's a plain horse when you buy him, he's a plain horse when you sell him. You know. But no, if I was being serious and I was looking for a horse, I think rideability would really be the top thing I'd look for. Because if you can arrive at the fence correctly, with the right balance, then your horse has every opportunity to jump it. Even if a horse is super scopy and elastic and can fly over the top of the wings, but he's mouthy and difficult in his body, you're never going to arrive there well and allow the horse to use that, especially the way the sport is going with the technicality and the speed. I think it's really important.
So, having ridden Derby, it's amazing. Are there any other pinnacles of success or moments that stand out for you as like, wow?
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed winning the 135 South African Championship and Neil Fearon class together, because it was a little bit controversial because all the young riders jumped the course first because it was part of the Neil Fearon leg, and then the adults jumped the same course after. But the 135 South African Championship was combined with the Neil class. So so all the kids jumped and then did the jump off together, and then but we only had a prize game at the end. So then the adults did their first round, then the jump off together. So I'd won the young rider class, and I was just waiting for all the adults to go. And then they went flat out, but no one could touch my time. And then they were furious. I remember it until I die. They were like so angry. No, you won the junior class, you didn't win the adult class. The adults was a separate class, and I loved it because Lorenzo was brilliant that day. I love that video. He flew around there, was rideable, was listening to me, and it was such a nice. It was probably our biggest win with Lorenzo, obviously having him from the beginning. And then another one that stands out is winning the Philip Smith Memorial Series or Championship. One, because the prize was so nice. We got to the Dublin Horse Show. Me and my dressage instructor, Jill Taylor, got a all expenses paid trip to the Dublin Horse Show, which was amazing. And that's probably where I first fell in love with Ireland. And that probably first made me want to go there. And the hard work that we put into that every single day, lunge lessons, dressage lessons, no stirrups. Oh, but it was so worth it at the end.
You're going overseas now, which is super exciting. So what are your dreams for the future?
I want to be the best in the world.
Oh, nice then.
Simple as that. Just want to be the best at riding. So we say that. Yeah. So obviously, you know, that as funny as that sounds, that is obviously, I mean, I ride because I want to be the best in the world. I want to be number one. But my dreams and aspirations around that would be to learn about the industry, learn about the way to produce a horse, compete a horse, run a horse. You know, I think where I'm going, I've got such nice opportunities to really grasp and understand the way a horse needs to go and how it should go. I'm just looking forward to learning. That's probably it. I'm looking forward to learning.
So when there's a hot shot overseas, you're still going to speak to us, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll think of. No, I'm joking.
Oh, geez, thanks. If you have one piece of advice or more to give riders who are aspirational and would like to improve their riding or even to be the best in the world, what advice would you give them?
So I would say when you're riding with your instructor and he or she says to you, you know what, that's good. Do you feel that? Or do you understand this? Or when the horse does well or goes well or jumps well, really try to remember that feeling and recreate it. Because then when your coach is not around, you're on a different horse and you feel the same feeling again, you'll know that it's correct and you'll understand and be able to take that forward to different horses and different where you find yourself. You know, if you feel that this horse jumps well when I do this, take this to the next horse and sort of feel that. Like really listen to to the feeling.
Well, thanks for joining us in the spotlight with Laurence. Thank you for chatting to us, and look forward to speaking to you overseas.
Brilliant, thank you.
So how did you get into riding, and how has it changed your life?
So horses have been a big part of my life from the beginning. My horses met through riding.
You what?
My parents met through horses, through riding. Yeah, they were both in the paddock one day, like, oh, you're a horse, I'm also a horse. No way, we got so much in common.
Okay, we'll try that again.
Yeah, I think so.
That's hysterical.
We're on one of the Neil Fearon legs, which is the series that ran through the whole of last year, or the year before, not too sure. Oh, it was last year. Can we redo that one?
No, come on.
Sorry! So we keep going. Let's redo that one.